Hello, Mr. Kadri of the Point newspapers. What can we do for you?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Sowomi. Today, I want us to look at a number of issues as it concerns the election, just recently held election in Nigeria. I want you to tell us, you see, something appears to interest Nigerians, that you guys, the Atiku team, they seem to have a lot of confidence in judiciary. What is the basis of this confidence? And how are you sure that you will be able to prove your case, if indeed what you are saying is correct?
Thank you very much. I think I would say that our attitude to the judiciary is both hope and fear. Hope in the sense that we believe that the men and women of the judiciary over the periods that we've had our country have from time to time demonstrated ingenious independence and expertise. And that spirit, however dim, is still there somewhere. Fear in the sense that, like every other Nigerian who is concerned about how, the Onogen issues, some interference with the judiciary, the Gestapo movement that they were trying to get judges to go to court and all of that has put an envelope over the judiciary that perhaps they will not be as independent as it. But we believe that we must never succumb as a people to fear, for that's exactly what those who want to make us afraid wish. That we must draw bigger strength within ourselves and at least demonstrate that we still have faith in the institution. So ultimately, it is the judiciary that is really on trial. People would like to see how the case has been handled. People would like to encourage people to follow through. We encourage people to listen. And like I say, if the truth is what they deserve or desire, they will find out that the truth is what will be laid bare before them.
Please, can you take us back a bit? The issue of the annex server, that there are arguments about the annex server being manipulated by the Christian APC to favor the incumbent in the re-election. Now, do you have new facts to the effect that your claims, is it validated? You have new facts validating that claim?
That's what our counsels will try to do in court if they are allowed. We must say to ourselves and say to the world, it is curious that in spite of the fact that most of the lawyers are unaware that the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Electoral Act as presently passed allows INEC to do as they wish with the transmission and all that. The only thing that everybody is hiding underneath is the fact that whether there is complete electronic voting. But electronic voting has nothing to do with how you store data, has nothing to do with where you store it, has nothing to do with how you keep the result. And if you have introduced an element of validation and accreditation that is computerized, it is clear that it is logical and expected that you must have kept that data somewhere. Okay. And our prayer is that in open court, these issues will be educated upon. We must tread a very narrow space, lest we do media trial. So I do not want us to delve into the issues that are in court and the court will deal with. But we believe that Nigerians should be concerned that as big as we are, after so many years of our democracy, with some of the improvement that came in as at the time of 2015, it's painful that 2019 has thrown us so far backwards from all the progress we have made. And I believe that in court, beyond the server, our lawyers will prove and show that we won.
That's nice. Well, I want us to discuss. Can you discuss the extent to which you think the international community how are they addressing this issue of you call stolen mandates, or stolen future? Sorry.
This boat, when you steal the mandate of the people, what you do momentarily is that you prevent their wishes from being, carried out. And what does it then mean? It represents in real sense, you have prevented them from getting the kind of quality service that had you not stolen their mandate, they would have gotten. So when we say stolen mandate, we're talking about the actual act of preventing the lawfully voted for candidates, which we believe is Atiku Abubakar, to get his mandate. When we say stolen future, we're talking about the consequences of that on the generality of all Nigeria. So in one breath, one can be said to be, for Nigerian people, the electorate, for the PDP, for the Atiku Abubakar, for his followers and other, for his team, and that's that. But there's one that is bigger, which is the consequences of misgovernance that would have been halted immediately if the wish of the people had been, allowed to stay. So that's why I will tell you that it's really indeed a stolen future. What would have happened with some of the crises that they are managing now? Maybe if they had allowed better ideas, well thought through processes, practical and actionable solutions would have come on the table. What would we have done with the economy? We were very huge on that. Maybe by now, foreign direct investment would have increased because they would have seen that there's a new direction that the country is taking. Maybe in terms of unemployment, maybe in terms of even internal cohesion. For what we see is that where the ones who are very clear, Atiku is very clear, very convinced that the structure of the country must be tinkered with, albeit a little bit, so that the undivided Nigeria can be preserved within a framework of allowing the constituent parts of the country to develop at a pace that is meaningful and useful to them.
Yes, concerning the resource issues of the country.
Concerning what?
Resource control, for example.
Okay.
What is His Excellency, Vice President Abubakar, what's his blueprint? Supposing that he comes on board and the judiciary does the work well, and your lawyers prove their point, what would he do? Because I think a case that is really, that concerns every Nigerian now is, you say, oil issues, and then how do you think he will manage our resources?
Yeah, Atiku Abubakar is very clear on how the resources of the country should be managed. He believes that, first of all, we're over-dramatizing oil as a commodity. Atiku Abubakar believes that if we saw oil the same way we saw agricultural produce, and we try to make each of them, sustainably developed using business models that can allow them to be more efficient, Atiku Abubakar believes that one does not have a bigger advantage over the other. Atiku Abubakar believes that it is because we have imagined that there can be no greater value created for the country outside oil or outside the state monopoly of the oil resources. That's why we seem to be castrated, staying on one spot. And Atiku Abubakar believes that if nations that do not have oil are able to creatively provide private sector templates to give themselves great value in other areas, Atiku believes that then what's the big deal about oil? On resource control precisely, Atiku understands that national cohesion requires dialogue, and that no government who really loves Nigeria and likes Nigeria to survive as a big entity, as the who we're supposed to be, and a great entity, you cannot close your ears to the wishes of the people. And I think Abubakar believes that once you are able to dialogue with people properly, once people are able to see where the vision is where the vision and the ideas are taking the country to, Atiku Abubakar believes that Africans, like other nations of the world, are made of reasonable people. And Atiku Abubakar also believes that in any case, hydrocarbon is becoming extinct in terms of the reliance and the usage. Quite a lot of countries in the world now are beginning to find alternative energy. Quite a lot of countries in the world are beginning to find other ways to drive their cars with electricity. So Atiku believes that Nigeria has done what it can do the way it's always done it, but that it's time now to have a Nigeria that is prepared, made ready for its younger generation to play the future game.
Yes, I want to stop you there, and then I want you to look at something, please.
What's that?
Let's look at the economy as it concerns the average Nigerian. I mean, Nigerian who is on the street. people who are still eking out, who struggle daily to eke out a living from. In fact, I want to tell us, please, what's the blueprint? How will these people be affected? Because you know why I ask this question is because I observe that people have always come on board to say, okay, no, who will do this, who will do this, who will do this. But the situation with the common people has, it always remains the same.
No, you're wrong. It's not always been like that. Let me try and remind you. In 1999, the Nigerian economy was depressed. Maybe you've forgotten. People couldn't find jobs. Civil servants hardly had any cars. Everybody, the whole place was depressed. What did that team do? They reflated the economy. They put in more power into the economy. They increased the spending capital and available money. They gave the workers an improvement in salary. Look, do not be stuck, and I say this with every sense of responsibility. Nigerians, we don't need to be stuck with the mindset that just because some incompetent people are in charge of the country now, we don't have competent people that have been in charge of the country before, or we do not have competent people that can be in charge of the country now.
Do you mean that if his president retains the mandate, you mean that his policies would affect even the downtrodden?
This government of Muhammadu Buhari, for whatever it's worth, INEC said they won more than 126-27 days ago. They were sworn in and they were administered the oath of office, although we would have preferred that the oath of office was not administered pending the determination of the case, but the Constitution and the law does not allow that. So we granted. They were sworn in more than 37 days ago. They were sworn in on May 29. Until date. Till date. They don't need to look at any handover notes. They're not trying to take over a villa that they need to fumigate because of fear. They are staying exactly where they've been staying for the past 4 years and a little bit.
What do you mean by fumigate?
Hold on a minute. And yet, they are unable to tell Nigerians who is the chief of staff. It doesn't need approval from the Senate for that. Who is the what's the title's name? The special advisor media. Who is the secretary to the government? There are
appointments.
No. The ministerial appointment is one thing. The ones that he can even do is another. It seems to me that the leopard has not exactly changed his spots. So those in charge of our country now are strolling, acting, behaving as if there is no need to put a little bit of urgency when in the recess of the world, they can look all around us. They can see Ghana, they can see Rwanda, they can see the Arab countries, they can see Europe, they can see America, they can see China, they can see the Mint countries. Every government has understood that the difference within the fourth and the third industrial revolution is that the fourth industrial revolution is a speed of light revolution because it is driven by technology. And it means that what you can do with internet now, you couldn't do with post office. What you can sell and what you can, the time that the efficiency level and time must be verified. You cannot be strolling. I guarantee an Atiku Abubakar would have put his cabinet together within but a few weeks. And at least the people that are going to be members of the cabinet would have known themselves. There's no guesswork there. And it draws you to where they are now. Sometimes, in fairness to the Buhari presidency, they have some flashes of brilliance. But that flash of brilliance, they have very, very poor capacity to explain to people, to get people to buy in. They have very, very poor capability to do the complete linkage between the policy ideas to the implementation. They are the worst of their capacity is in narrative management and communication. They go about as though they are waiting for the Nigerian people to quarrel or to scream or shout before they become reactionary. That's not how it's supposed to be. What they're supposed to be doing, and what an Atiku would have done, is that you will first of all get the buy-in of the people before you move. That's how to do it.
Yes, I thank you very much for you've shed quite a lot of light on some issues. But I want us to look at industrialization. Does your His Excellency Atiku, does he have a blueprint? Suppose he comes on board.
You see, Atiku, with the greatest respect to others, Atiku is a thinker. I think Atiku is really more like a philosopher king, in the sense that Atiku spends hours and hours and hours and hours thinking about the problem. And when he thinks about it, what I have observed from his pattern is that he would then quietly sit down and start to call resources all over the world. What did you people do here? How did you people do this here? So then he will pull those ideas plus his own. Then he will still call some Nigerian brilliant minds and say, let us have a dialogue on this. So most of the time, people don't see the amount of hard work that goes into the ideas that Atiku brings to them. I'll give you one from the past. Do you know, and do Nigerians know and recall, that it was Atiku Abubakar that came up with the amnesty program that has sustained the Niger Delta region till date? When he wanted to be president in 2007, that was when he talked about that. To good conscience, okay, Umaru Musa Yar'Adua took it and ran with it. But somebody had to think it up. Somebody had to think it up. It was Atiku who thought up the idea that, okay, having looked at all of this, this is what we need to do here. I guarantee that if they ask Atiku Abubakar nicely, and if Atiku were president today, he will never fall into this roga, roaming roga, flipping roga, cancelling roga, suspending roga, imploding the country roga, overheating the polity roga, absolutely clueless roga that they are running. Because the problem has always been around. Therefore, you would have expected that if someone wants to be president, especially someone that is Fulani, he would have thought about the problem. But you know what? I am going to stop short of telling you what Atiku would have done about it. You know why? Because we are in a nation where after people like Atiku have done all the hard work, some other people can start being clever at the back of the ideas. So I'll tell you that Atiku has a very practical, ingenious solution to the problem. And if you hear it, you will just go, wow. And that's exactly what a leader is meant to do. A leader is meant to inspire confidence. A leader is meant to inspire hope. A leader is meant to show the way and go the way. And I tell you this, there is no idea that Atiku wishes to bring to the Nigerian people that he has not experimented, albeit on a small scale, in his private life.
Let me ask you a question. You said
go ahead.
Now, he is no doubt a very successful businessman. No doubt about that.
I think it's better to, I think when people say Atiku is a very successful businessman, I think they bend the issue. I think the best way to say Atiku is that Atiku is a very successful human being. He's a successful businessman. He's a successful administrator. He's a successful family man. He's a successful father. He's a successful diplomat.
That's fine.
Calling him a businessman is thinking that maybe he's like somebody that is sitting in a real market and is selling shoes. Atiku is beyond that.
The question I want us to look at.
Go ahead.
Tell us how many people, a businessman, a successful person, let me use your word.
Thank you.
He should be able to bring up people who will look like him. Semblance of his own success.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying he's standing alone, but I want you to tell us that, okay, Atiku, he has really, of course, he has impacted. We know he has a university, he's a major producer, he has industries and factories here and there. Fine. How many people are coming up?
Look. Let me help you. There is no sphere of human endeavor that Atiku has had the grace and the opportunity to be involved in that he has not created giants. Let me start from politics. Some of the names you have today that are in their own, with their own respect, small giants or potential big giants in the future, a great number of them passed through Atiku. Nasir, El-Rufai, Atiku. What was the guy's name that was the first chairman of EFCC? Nuru Ribadu, Atiku. With the greatest respect, Okonjo-Iweala, Atiku. With his greatest respect, Obi, Atiku. With the greatest respect, the list is large. Atiku is not your kind of mentor leader who holds you and ties you to his apron string. No! That's why you are not seeing it. Atiku creates the enabling environment. Atiku mobilizes the courage, the resources, and gives you the wherewithal to dance. Albeit, he expects that if what he saw in you as brilliance was there, he expects that brilliance, he expects the world to see it. And many times over, those who have had anything to do with Atiku have always been able to hold their own. That's just for politics. And I needn't tell you business. There are too many. In business, from his days in custom till even now, there are too many areas where Atiku has impacted and he continually impacts. In terms of the downtrodden, Atiku is a systems man. Atiku, look, when I talk about him, it sometimes, I myself sometimes go back and I ask myself that, Shegun, this guy, what could have been, who could have been training him? Or what could have been motivating? Let me give you one. Atiku runs a social investment scheme for people around his Adamawa axis that requires zero noise. He has a purpose fund for them in the hospital. If anybody still just go there, gets treated. He has an intervention that gives them credit, microcredit to women in a bank that is funded and working and delivering and giving people money and taking them out of poverty. Atiku has a meal and feed, feed and learn program for people of IDPs. Atiku has an Atiku Care Foundation that goes all over the place doing intervention. Atiku is not your kind of guy who wants to stand in one place and everybody is bowing to him because he's dispensing favors. No! It may be unfortunate that that's the part that people like to see, but Atiku would rather just be dispensing that thing in a manner that it gets to where it's supposed to get to without much hassle. That's who Atiku is. So Atiku is not creating one or two giants. Atiku is like a phenomenon that has passed through this environment and has left a lot of giants in this place. Even think about it, for somebody to have been made the presidential, have been invited to come and even contest presidential candidate with MK Abiola, and to have had the singular responsibility of stepping down for Abiola then, so that Abiola can even get the mandate, that should tell you who Atiku is. And in all of those years, Atiku has never betrayed the Democratic group. In actual fact, it is the members of the Democratic group that have been betraying themselves. When they are not leaving to go and join their traducers, Atiku is standing. When they are doing June 12, Atiku is standing. When they are fighting the military, Atiku is standing. When he's doing democracy, Atiku is standing. And Atiku is always standing right. And it has not been easy. Sometimes we have left Atiku to bear too heavy a burden as though he's an individual who must solve all the problems. Let me tell you a little bit about where we are now. It is disgraceful and embarrassing that almost all the leadership of PDP have suddenly become muted. They can't grant interviews, they can't speak, they can't fund, they can't do nothing, even though their presidential candidate and flag bearer is pushing very hard on the mandate. And if the mandate, and we pray the mandate gets restored, do you reckon that they will not come back? That's who Atiku is and that's who they are. Atiku usually has the courage of conviction. And it is on the basis of the courage of conviction that he does everything he does within what is legal, what is not destabilizing to the country, but also what is right and what is just. And therefore, in a nation where Access to good medical care is still very poor. Nigerians now, obviously, were the poorest. I didn't say that, others did. There's a rot in the education sector. People are getting killed up till now. The debt profile is rising. Nepotism has gotten up. Indiscriminate medical tourism, even the president, he's the number one culprit there. Unending tribal wars. He wants to do Roga. The country is everybody screaming and shouting. They need even bother to explain to people why in the first instance would you even be doing a program and be naming it a funny name that has no meaning to other areas where you want to dovetail it. If you want to do a ranching system in, say, Uyo, why do you have to call it a Hausa name? Why can't you give it a name that the Uyo people will quickly be able to understand what you're doing? Why are you losing it only because you're not thinking or people are not thinking around you? If you want to ranch, why do you have to call my ranch a Hausa name? Or why should I have a ranch and not be calling it a Yoruba name, a government policy for another person? Clueless. Atiku will never be that way. So when you put all of this, you sum it together, and we'll begin to show you statistics of where we are, where we should be, what we should be doing, what our neighbors are doing, what Atiku would have done. You will have no other verdict but to understand that every stolen mandate is a stolen future.
Yeah, thank you very much. I should want you to look at, tell us exactly the international community. I mean, concerning this issue at stake, the election reclaiming the mandate. Do you think that the international community, are they playing, what would you say?
What role do you really expect from the international community? Let's get it straight.
Well, I expect
the international community operates within certain protocols. There is the respect for the internal dynamics and issues in the country, which is called the Sovereignty Act, and people know that this is the border of this country and they are allowed to make their own rules. Then there is the peer review mechanism. A peer review mechanism is one where they're looking at how things are, others are comparing and all of that. And then, of course, there is their aid and persuasive other capacity to encourage you in all the right direction before it gets to sanctions. In terms of our sovereignty, the National Committee has respected that. In terms of peer review, they've written. You have seen the results. You have gotten the report of the review of the election. It's been called for what it is. It's been said it was bad. It's been said it was unacceptable. It's been said it didn't meet the minimum standard. And, okay, we've called it a stolen mandate. Everything tied together. In terms of whether they're going to use their portfolios of borrowing money and all of the aids they do to punish you, maybe if the court gives us the verdict and you refuse to respect the verdict of the court, then they will get to that level. And if you don't then behave and you make yourself a pariah, obviously they will issue sanction. The international community is not run haphazardly the way Buhari is running Nigeria. The international community is run systematically, one step after the other. And as far as we are concerned, everybody in the international community is concerned about the state of things in Nigeria. Why wouldn't they be? Insecurity is too large. The tensions between the tribes are too big. There's now a North versus South. There's a criminalization of people for a whole ethnic groups. These are the issues that demand the attention of a thinking leader. And I dare say Atiku is one who can solve this problem. Have you exhausted yourself? Thank you very much. It was nice meeting you. Nigerians, we will now proceed to help us all follow the narrative of these court cases by running all actions underneath one major line, which will be stolen future. So all our conversations and all our communications will be coming underneath the stolen future. And I want to beg you, come in there, put your comment there, but please be civil, please be cautious. Opposition has to still do opposition work. The trial is going on. Stay away from sub judice matters, but we'll continue to educate you and let you all know that at the end of the day, we see a new fire of patriotism and of calling government to order in the country. We have seen that with the issues of the Reverend of Koza. We've seen that with Roga. We've seen that with the greatest respect, the young man senator who God's violent rage over him. He's apologized. I want you people to please forgive him. He's young, he probably learned and all that. We've seen that the Nigerian people are getting more participatory, and therefore we expect, I pray, and I encourage you to be more interested in the issues around this trial. Why? Because that's the only way to ensure that what happened in 2019 never happens again in our country, especially under democracy. See you next time. God bless you all.